So in the longest raid race we've had a while, finally Echo has taken the lead actually on Lords of Dread today. They are currently sitting at 9 out of 11. Liquid hot on their heels at a 3% wipe
2% now.
Oh, is it 2%?
Yeah.
2% wipe on Lords of Dread. Probably at the time of us releasing this video, they may have already even killed it.
There's a very good chance that this is a dead boss with 2 guilds again at 9 bosses down by the time this comes out. Unless Liquid have more troubles than we're expecting over the next couple hours, that is going to be the state of the race, and both guilds will be working on Rygalon. But of course, Echo are going to be asleep, so we may well see Liquid overtaking in terms of that best pull percent overnight Liquid overtaking while Echo's asleep.
I think that this is a pivotal moment in the race just in general, though. This is the moment that we kind of saw in...
Pain Smiths was
Sanctum?
kind of this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where it's like, and Echo's actually ahead now before the end boss, and that's a really scary spot if you're a Liquid fan and you're watching this. It's that's a dangerous moment anytime Liquid is behind before the last boss is even pulled. Very, very tough spot to be in, especially if this race doesn't make it to the third reset, which we've talked a lot about how it is likely to go to the third reset, but if it doesn't, then I think Echo are in a really good spot here.
I think Rygalon needed to die today for it to not.
I think it probably is still going to that third reset, but the fact Lords of Dread went down, we'll talk more about it later as well, but it went down in a way that was very good for Echo's morale, and I think quite bad for Liquid's as well.
Let's show the clip of the Echo World First kill.
Okay, here we go.
It's fine.
Novia's next fight, 2 minutes.
Keep blasting, keep blasting, keep blasting. Rest.
You can rest. No. Get me up, I bruff.
Just take it. Okay, it's fine.
8 seconds on me. Kill. Somebody, please. 150k. Come on.
There they were. That was Narcoles there on the kill.
They were juggling Bonesmith, Aramir, like cheat deaths.
Yeah.
So like Mira's tanked it with his cheat up for like 8 seconds, and then now on the Blood DK tanked his up for 8 seconds, and then Narcoles is standing in front of the boss tanking it for 8 seconds.
Yeah, Perry intervenes. They were using all kinds of stuff to preserve a boss that, in theory, has a 9-minute enrage timer. They killed it like 10 minutes after they pulled the boss.
Okay, so whenever we were starting the day, we thought, and not we thought, I didn't think this.
I did think this.
People thought, not me, of course, that Lords of Dread was actually unkillable, at least in terms of the damage check, because it was on that 9-minute enrage. And like whenever Dratnos and I were talking about it with Stakeloins on the morning broadcast show for the Echo event today, like, I didn't think that we had seen enough of the fight to really confirm that it was unkillable, but holy shit, the damage checks on Lords of Dread and Rygalon are super tough right now.
Yeah, the Lords of Dread one, at least there's this way to kind of cheese it with survival hunters, with warriors, right? With people that do a bunch of cleave damage because they take a bunch of increased cleave damage. So that made the kind of ridiculous, like, 19.5k average DPS requirement feasible. Narcoles actually coming in on that DK for a couple pulls. Top damage as well.
It's so funny because we've had basically every single fight like comp stacked since Prototype Pantheon even in this raid. And this is the first time that I've seen something like that.
Yeah, and notably a different comp has been stacked on like every fight. For instance, on Lords of Dread, it was like Survival Hunters, Warriors. Now here on Rygalon, we're seeing like Boomkins, Rogues.
Yes.
It's still a couple Warriors, but it's like these entirely different class stacks. It's not one of those tiers where it's like, oh, one of everything. It's like, we have one spec that we want to stack on this fight, but it's pretty different than we want to stack on this next fight that has a completely different set of incentives.
Both Echo and Liquid now also not running a mage.
Yeah, the mage not being used on the Lords of Dread kill for the first time until, I want to say, something like Mogushan Vaults or something was the last time we had a World First kill that didn't include a mage. But Lords of Dread taking that mantle there. No mage, no problem.
I mean, whew, the last time I've seen a fight that was kind of like comp stacked in this specific way, I think it had to be almost like Unot. Unot, of course, ran... It was a bunch of Warlocks, it was a bunch of Ellie Shamans, it was ranged only, also notably, whereas this fight, it's like the complete opposite, it's melee only, but it was stacked in a similar way where it's like only a couple of classes can even like complete this fight.
Yeah, now, to be fair, with double Legos coming out next reset, all the guilds that don't kill Lords of Dread on reset 2 should be a lot more in range of killing it next reset, even if it doesn't take any nerfs.
I think that this kind of proves, at least to me, that no boss is unkillable.
I don't think that's what it proves. I think it just proves this boss wasn't unkillable.
I think that most bosses are... we are in an era where both Liquid and Echo, and honestly even most of the guilds of the top 5, are able to optimize their DPS in such a way where it's very difficult to call a boss unkillable.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason this is such a big morale boost to Echo as well, because Liquid basically did say they wiped it 13%, and they were like, okay, boss is getting nerfed. This, that's the disadvantage we have. We pull these bosses, we prove they're unkillable. Now let's go practice Rygalon. And Echo rolled up and were like, actually,
This is killable.
this is killable. Let me show you how. And that is such a big morale booster for the Echo roster as well, where now they, have taken the lead. Liquid, I'm sure, are soon to kill the boss as well.
I agree.
They'll be tying this race back up, and we'll be going into Rygalon and a huge amount more. Much as people are going to be like, as they were for the last couple bosses, they're like, oh, the race is over, Liquid's won. Now people are like, oh, the race is over, Echo's won. The race is so far from over, and so much more important than who gains 6 hours on Anduin or Halandris or Lords of Dread is going to be who plays better on the Jailer. That's ultimately what it's going to come down to. But it's certainly great news for Echo, and the atmosphere here at the Echo event has lightened up so much now that they're in the lead as well.
They were very stressed after Anduin.
Yeah, and I think that, people talk about, this is a little bit of a tangent, but people talk about kind of a difference in demeanor between Liquid and Echo. And I actually think that a huge amount of that comes from the fact that just Echo, 90% of the race to World First, they're playing from behind. And it is so much harder to be pulling a boss that your competition is ahead of you on or has already killed than to be pulling a boss knowing you're in the lead. And so you can kind of see, if you're watching the Echo and Liquid streams today compared to yesterday, I think you can really feel that dynamic has shifted here.
Okay, so start talking about Rygalon. It also did get like a little bit of hot fix tuning adjustment. Let me pull it up right now.
They took some damage off of some of the Rygalon mechanics, and they took some health off the boss, which was, I think, probably necessary. The 90 million in 6.5 minutes was not seeming especially realistic.
What I have right now is Stellar Decay base damage reduced by 25% on Mythic difficulty.
Yeah.
Unstable core health reduced proportionally. Reduced the Stellar Shroud heal absorbed by 10%. And then reduced the HP of Rygalon by approximately 6%.
Yeah, so this boss was a very hefty DPS check, and still is a very hefty DPS check. The pulls that Echo were having earlier, they were getting around to that 60% mark during the second massive bang cast. You got 4 massive bangs. So for the second one, you really are needing the boss to be around that 50% health mark.
45 because they're lusting on pull.
Probably even lower because you're lusting on pull, although you're getting executes at the end of the fight. If they have it around 50, I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to get the rest of the way there. But at 60, it's certainly still a lot of optimizing left to do.
Yeah, it's definitely not a freebie. Fortunately enough, it's not like a super complicated fight, I think is like one of the biggest things. Like, they're basically just rerunning phase 1 over and over again.
That's kind of been the dynamic of both Rygalon and Lords of Dread, compared to Halandris and Anduin, which have much more hectic P2 than P1, much more hectic P3 than P2, at least until Anduin got bugged to not have a mechanic in P3. Lords of Dread and Rygalon instead, it's like, oh, this is the same fight, plus a little bit more damage in as the fight goes on, but otherwise it is just repeating the same dance over and over again. So I think that is going to lead to these bosses having much lower pull counts than Halandris and Anduin did.
All right. The race is heating up, honestly.
Yeah, and a quick talk again. We talked a lot about Echo and Liquid during this one as they are in the lead, but the remainder of our top 6 currently, so we got SK Pieces at 8, with Liquid as well at 8.
Yeah.
We got Skyline Method,
BDGG.
BDGG at 7. I don't know if I think Astra's also joined now at 7.
I think so.
Yeah, so I think that's currently the lineup that are sitting at 7 out of 11. And then a bunch of guilds at 6 out of 11, working on the crab, too, still.
All right. Anyways, we're going to be back tomorrow. I think Rygalon may die tomorrow.
I think there's a good chance of that as well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of progress still to be done.
We also said this about Halandris for like 3 days straight, so we're really, really dumb.
Sometimes we got too much copium, sometimes we've got nowhere near enough belief as well.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow with the next recap. We'll see you guys later. Goodbye.